In this video, we're going to play around with some fun data, M&Ms. And the main gist of this video is that R has the ability to pull in lots of data. You can pull in lots of variables or lots of columns of data, and it'll do stuff with all the columns of data if we want it to. So one thing I'm going to show you is how to get data and upload it into R, and then we'll see how to actually retrieve the data and do something with it. So I found this website where this person has they say that they have information about a number of bags of M&Ms and all the number of red, green, blue, orange, etc. colored M&Ms that were in each bag. Now, on occasion when we're looking at data from a website, we actually can highlight all the text and then paste. But sometimes if we're lucky, there are ways to get that data in its raw form. And it turns out this particular website does let us download the data. Now, there are many other cool sites that let us download data for stocks and weather and even baseball scores and baseball reference data. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and click on the M&M data here. It says download data. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And when I do, it lets me download, and I already downloaded it. I am going to change the name so it doesn't have that strange character in the middle of it. Essentially, I just called it M&M data .text. So anyways, now that I've got the data on the computer, oh, and maybe some of you might be interested in seeing what that data looks like. Let me see if I can open that for you. So here is all of the data, and you can see there's a lot of it, and I'll scroll down. There's a bunch that's not on the screen, so there's actually a bunch of data here. And really, this is a relatively small amount of data. Now the thing is that one thing that you could do is you could just retype all this data into R or some software like that, or you could, copy and paste, but then with R, we'd have to put commas in between these numbers in order to get it to work right. But fortunately, R has a capability that will allow it will automatically read in certain kinds of data. So we're going to go into REPL.it and we're going to make a new R program. And I'm going to call this one M and M data. And hopefully we can get this R thing going pretty quick. Cool. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of doing something like X equals C and then type in all the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., I'm going to do something else. R has a command called read, and there's several different kinds of read. We're going to do read table, and that will let us read a table of data. And the neat thing is that if I read the table of data first of all, I have to tell it where. So let's figure out where the data is. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the 3 dots to the right of files here, and I get the option of upload file. And so then I will choose my M&M data text, and then go ahead and open that up. And so here's my data. Let's click on it. Yep, there it is. Now, it doesn't look quite as pretty as a notepad that we just saw a minute ago, but the nice thing is that there's like always one tab in between each of these numbers. And so R knows how to work with data that's separated by tabs, or commas, or spaces, or whatever. But certainly it knows how to work with data that's separated by tabs. So the only thing I got to do now is I got to tell R what file I want to read the table from. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this file name a little bit. I'm an old school computer guy, and one of the things that I've learned over the years is that if you're working with variables or file names that are too fancy, then you run the risk of typing it incorrectly or not having it recognized by your software. So I'm going to just make it mmdata, no space, it's all lowercase, .txt. So let's go ahead and actually tell read.table what data to read in. And we're going to read in mmdata.text. Okay, so so far not too complicated, kind of interesting stuff. Let's go ahead and hit run. And when we do, oh, I don't know if anything even happened. Let me go ahead and print X out. Print X. There we go. And woo, look at that. There's the data. Not too bad, not too shabby. The only problem is that the data is supposed to be just numbers. We just want to know how many red M&Ms there are. Well, unfortunately, what happened is when we did read table, it thinks that red is a number of M&Ms. So that's going to cause some problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the table command to make it so that it knows that there's a header. There's a row of headers that explain what each column of data is. And we're going to say that we are importing a file with headers. So we'll say header equals true. And it's really important that we do the true all in uppercase and that there's no double quotes. True is actually a known, it's a constant, it's a known value to R. Sort of like we know that pi is 3.14159 da 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 da. R knows that all caps true with no double quotes always has a certain value of true. So anyways, let's go ahead and run this. And when we do, we'll see that the V's are no longer there. And the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will start with the 15, not with the red. So let's take a look and see what happens. So here we go. So now the headers are these colors, and the actual data is numbered starting at the numbers, the counts of M&Ms and weights over here. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. Now that we have this data in X, we should be able to do a box plot. So I'm going to go ahead and do a box plot with X, and if we're lucky, it just works. But we're going to see. I can't even remember. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and we get an rplots PDF over here. And oh my God, R just makes life so easy. Look at that. Boom. It just automatically gave me all of the plots of all the box plots for all these different number ranges. And it even labeled them at the bottom. How much do you have to like that? Now, it was kind of silly to include weight in there. We would actually have a better graph if we did not include weight. So there's probably a better way than simply saying X. One other thing that I could do is I could have deleted the weight data somehow or another, but that's all for another day. For now, we'll just say, hey, it's kind of interesting that we've got all these counts of colored M&Ms, and they're all lined up in a way in which we can actually use them for some data analysis. One thing I don't like, though, is it's not very pretty. There's not a lot of colors, and we're working with colors. So we're going to add a little splash of color for those of you who like a little aesthetic when you're doing your math. What we're going to do is make up a list called My Colors. And we got to do that little C again. In My Colors, we're going to do them in the order that we see here. So I'm going to go red. Let's start with red, then comma, and I'm using double quotes, green, comma, and I'm just typing the colors that I see in the list over there. And let's go yellow, comma, brown. Now, it's kind of important that I put them in this order because you can see that the data that's in X is all going to be in that order. So there's my colors. I've chosen the different colors. Now, in order to get the box plot to come out with those colors, I have to tell the box plot, use color. And when you do, use the list My Colors in order to figure out what colors you're going to use. Now again, it's kind of important that I have my colors in the same order as the colors that are in the data table. Let's go ahead and hit run again. And then let's go and look at all the plots. Woo, pretty. And since we do have the label at the bottom, we can see that the colors actually came in with the right stuff. Now up here, the weights got assigned a color as well. Well, no big deal, one way or another. But we can see red, green, blue, orange, yellow, brown, yay. Okay, so now at a glance, one of the reasons I went through this entire video is to show you that, you know, when we have a lot of data, It's very hard to know what the data means by just looking at the numbers. And so having a tool like R, where you can import all that data and then visualize all the data and even add a splash of color, makes it a lot easier to figure out what's going on. So now at a glance, we should be able to tell which color do you get the most of when you buy a bag of M&Ms. And of course, obviously, there's a million uses for this in the world when we're comparing all sorts of different things, but I wanted to start you off with the M&M example.